Namaste and welcome to the Asana Sana Yoga studio. My name is Sana and tonight we're here for our Hatha Yoga class. Exciting. Today's class is going to be very quad focused just to combat those long periods of sitting I know all of us are getting into around this moment. So let's find our way seated on the mat as always and let's get started tonight by setting our intentions. Get in here, a nice easy seat in Sukhasana. Feeling nice, feeling perfectly good. Excellent. Great. From here, let's just take a deep breath, 3 deep breaths, in through the nose and out through the mouth. Excellent. Let's just find ourselves melting away the stress of the day. Let's give ourselves a good hug, making it to the mat, feeling successfully be in our practice today. I know sometimes it can be a little difficult to make a little bit of time for ourselves, so thank you for joining me here. And thank yourself for joining yourself here, because it takes a lot. So excellent. And as we set our intentions for this class, allow me to share my intentions with you. I intend to take you through a quad opening focused flow that hopefully you'll feel a little bit more relaxed in your front of your thighs here and a little bit more relaxed in the rest of your body. Also, I hope we can have a little bit of fun together as we share this evening. So just sitting here, think of your own intentions, set your own intentions for yourself for this class. And remember to keep it attainable. Definitely, you want it to be something that is going to be more fun than something that's, oh, let me gain X, Y, and Z. Let's keep it attainable. Excellent. Let's begin our warm-up today. Sitting on the mat here. And today, instead of in Sukhasana, let's put our feet in collar's pose. Butterfly pose, Baddha Konasana. There we go. A little test of my feet here. We're just going to bounce our feet out until we find a nice, comfortable position. If you have a block, you can go ahead and sit on that block as well. But we're just going to ease those feet a little bit forward too, just to begin the process of starting to ease up our quads and our legs here. Let's find our hands on our knees or in our lap. We're just going to start by gently warming up that neck by shaking no. And just shake your head no. No to answering one more email. No to making one more pointless phone call. No to not being present. Just shake your head no. Excellent. Let's slow our head down. Let's begin to nod our head yes. Say yes to self-care. Yes to taking a moment for ourselves. Yes to laughing. Yes to that piece of cake. It's just important to say yes to our boundaries as well. Excellent. Slowing it down. Let's begin to just rotate our head around. Spinning it in a circle here. Still warming up the neck. Slowing it down. Let's rotate the other direction. Warming up the other side. Great. Let's exhale, bringing it to center. Let's inhale those arms out to a T and let's dropping our right ear to the right side. Let's use our right palm to help further along and stretch out the neck muscles while we let that left arm drop at a 45-degree angle. Just allowing it to stretch out. Feeling good. Excellent. Let's inhale that head back up to center as we turn our head to the right now, dropping that chin, using our right hand once more to kind of help stretch out that back muscles, the back of your neck here and the back left hand side. Excellent. Inhale, bringing our head up to center, bringing our arms back to T. Let's drop our left ear to that left shoulder, using that left hand to kind of extend that stretch out, dropping our right arm to 45-degree angles. Excellent. Let's inhale that head up, turning our head this time over to the left, dropping that chin down as we look down at the floor, stretching the back of the neck. Excellent. Let's bring our head up, releasing our arms, shaking them out. And from here, let's start to roll our shoulders up and back. We're just going to move down our torso as we warm up the shoulders. Excellent. Edge there. Slowing down, let's rotate them the opposite direction. Doing good. Let's inhale those arms to a T once more, bringing them up overhead as we drop down our right arm down our back. Let's take our left hand here, adjusting as necessary. Let's take our left hand here to use as a leverage to pull that right arm back down the back so that we can get a nice stretch in that right shoulder. And only pull it down to your comfort. Excellent. Let's inhale those arms, bringing that right one behind us, grabbing the wrist with the left, extending the arm down, giving a stretch in that left arm. And go ahead and drop your left ear to your left shoulder here to help out that shoulder stretch from the top. Stretching out that right shoulder. Excellent. Let's inhale those hands back out to a T. Exhale, coming around the front. Pulling that arm in front of you, using your left hand to kind of pull yourself into a hug, extending that stretch, turning our face to the right to extend as well. Let's inhale, bringing those arms back overhead as we exhale, drop the left arm down, using the right arm this time to get a stretch on. And go ahead and move your head around to feel a good stretch out. This stretches the traps as well as the neck and the shoulder as well. Just drop our arms back to T, bringing that left arm around the back here. This time, let's grab it as we exhale, dropping our right ear to our right shoulder once more as we stretch out that left shoulder in the top. Excellent. Let's inhale those arms to a T, bringing that left arm across. Go ahead and grab it as we stretch towards the left side. And then go ahead and twist your head if you'd like to extend a twist. Excellent. Release our arms, bringing them down to the mat. And let's find ourselves here in tabletop position. And let's talk about alignment for just a quick second. We want to make sure we keep our knees hip width apart, even as we're in this tabletop position. You can either do that by kind of eyeballing it with your hands or just eyeballing it with your fist, making sure they're about fist width apart between your knees here. Keep your hips over your knees, and you can either hold your toes curled or you can hold them flat down. It's a matter of preference. Moving along to our arms, we want to keep our shoulders, our elbows under our shoulders and our wrists under our elbows as well, so none of that. Nice and parallel. Keeping our hands spread wide, gripping the mat, keeping our shoulders pulled down and away from our ears, keeping ourselves nice and active. So you want to keep your back in neutral, and then just gently lift your head to stare forward at the top of your mat there. So that's where you want your head alignment-wise. Just look right at the top of the mat. So from here, let's take a deep inhale, opening up those knees to the edge of the mat. Let's exhale, bringing our feet down. Let's come into a wide child's pose here. Breathing, beginning the process of opening up our quads, warming up our quads and our lower back so that we can stretch out our bodies. Breathe deep into that pose. Hold here for 3 more breaths. And after our last exhale, let's take an inhale, seeing ourselves coming right back up here into child's pose, bringing our knees back to hip width apart, making sure we can grip the mat. Let's begin to take a deep inhale as we drop our belly and send our head up, coming into cow pose. And then as we exhale, scooping that belly, scooping the pelvis, coming back down to the floor with our faces, exhaling cat pose. Let's do this for 5 breaths. So inhale, cow. Cat. Really stretch yourselves out. Ooh, I feel it in my upper back. Two more breaths like this. And let's do our last one. Really make it count. Take a deep inhale. Filling up the lungs, filling up the belly. Exhaling. Rolling that back and that pelvis. Emptying out the lungs. Let's come back into our tabletop pose. Excellent. From here, let's taking another inhale. Let's inhale, sending our arms underneath the right arm, underneath the left, coming into our puppy pose. Wagging our tail just a little bit here as we hold this breath or this pose. Releasing the back, feeling good. Let's inhale, slowing our wagging tail down to a stillness. Inhale, let's bring ourselves back up in the tabletop. And as we exhale, sending the left arm this time as we come down to the mat, wagging the tail if needed. Breathing through this pose. Let's bring our tail to stillness as we inhale, coming up to our tabletop once more. Let's extend those hands slightly before us, bringing our chest down to the mat, coming down into puppy pose. And let's hold here for 5 breaths. And after our last exhale, let's inhale ourselves, coming back up here into tabletop. Let's curl those toes underneath us if you haven't already. Taking an inhale, let's push our hips up, coming into our downward dog. Let's walk our hands coming to the front of the mat here. And we're just going to hold ourselves in this this forward fold here. Let's extend our arms, making sure that we're not locking our knees. Let's bring our arms to grab and clasp the elbows. And we're just going to hold here in ragdoll, swaying back and forth, allowing that lower back to loosen up, bending the knees. Even if you need to bend your knees to come like this into your forward fold, that's perfectly fine. We've just opened up the body. So actually, let's everyone keep our knees bended. Let's keep our chest here onto our knees as we use ourselves here in this ragdoll. You can even drop your hands to the mat if that helps. Feels good. Oh, squatting down a little bit there. My goodness. We'll get to that in a moment here. Awesome. Let's slow ourselves down. Come into stillness. Let's inhale our hands all the way up to the sky, taking a nice healthy back bend. Exhale, bringing our hands down into prayer pose. Let's get ready for our yoga flow by starting our sun salutations. Yes. Meeting at the top of the mat, let's go over alignment once more. Let's keep our knees over our ankles, but do not lock your knees out. Keep them nice and flexible and supple. We want to keep our hips located over our knees as well. And instead of our hips with our pelvis, we want to just keep that tilted in that nice neutral tilt so that we're not ducking ourselves out and we're not curling ourselves in too much. Moving up to our ribs, let's keep our ribs over our hip bones by not flaring them out, keeping them nice and centered in, protecting our core muscles in our trunk. Our shoulders should be raised up and rolled straight down the back, keeping our shoulder blades actively engaged, keeping those shoulders away from the ears. Keep your ears floating above your shoulders and keep your chin at a parallel to the floor so that we're nice and in alignment here. You should feel nice and relaxed. It should feel like a weight has been lifted off of you in this position. Make sure you focus your weight over your heels so that you're not straining on your toes. So keeping in here, let's start in our prayer pose. Inhale, let's send those hands up into the sky as we come into a chair. Exhaling, coming all the way in that forward fold. Let's inhale, halfway forward fold, bending the knees as necessary. Exhale, placing the hands on the mat. Let's take a step back into our plank. Let's inhale, exhale as we come on down. And let's inhale, coming up into a cobra pose here. We don't want to overdo it just too much. We just started. From this cobra pose, let's curl our toes, bring your hands back. Let's take an inhale as we exhale, sending our hips up into the sky, coming to the downward dog. Let's walk out our heels here, walking out our feet in a walking downward dog, allowing our back of our legs, our hamstrings, our calves to warm up, stretching out the back of our body right now, opening up our hip. Excellent. Let's slow ourselves down. Inhale that right foot up into the air. Exhale, bringing it to the front of the mat. Let's drop that left knee. Inhale, coming up into our low crescent lunge. And if you'd like, you can go ahead and adjust a little bit as you bounce your hips, just allowing them to open just slightly. Not overdoing it. Don't force anything. We're just bringing movement into the body, moving our body maybe in a way we haven't quite just yet today. Awesome. And from here, let's inhale, sending those hands back down to the mat, taking a step back. Let's curl that back foot, bringing that right foot down to those toes or to match the left. Exhaling, coming down into the mat. Inhale up. See if you can come up into an upward dog. From here, let's curl those toes as we exhale, sending our hips up once more. Let's walk those feet out, doing it slowly, allowing those tendons and that fascia to wake up and to loosen, allowing the tendons in the back of the knee to loosen, letting your legs really do its work. Excellent. Slow ourselves down here. Let's inhale that left leg up into the sky this time. Sending it up, up, up as a beacon. Exhaling, bringing it to the front of the mat. Let's drop that right knee. Inhaling, let's come on up into our low crescent pose. Go ahead and move yourself around. Make that an active stretch so we can wake up the iliopsoas in the right, wake up the piriformis in the left, and vice versa when we did it the first time. Awesome. Just make sure you're not letting your knee go over your toes and your knee are going in the same direction. Let's slow ourselves down. Inhale, let's bring those hands back to the mat as we curl our toes, straightening that back toe, sending the left to meet the right. Exhaling, coming down on the mat. Let's inhale up, coming into an upward dog. From here, let's curl those toes as we exhale once more into a downward dog, walking those feet out. Let's walk our feet up, meeting our hands at the top of the mat, coming into this halfway forward fold here. Let's hold on to this halfway forward fold. And without putting your hands on your knees, you can either put them on your calves or on your thighs here. Let's just wind out our back. This also helps to wake up that piriformis in here, and it also helps to loosen up these quads, loosen up the legs. And remember not to lock out your knees. Let's slow ourselves down here once more. Let's inhale, coming all the way up. Exhaling, hands in prayer pose. Great. Let's keep it flowing right along as we stay at the top of the mat here. Inhale the hands up to the sky. We're going to come into our chair as we exhale, swan diving forward. Let's inhale, looking up. Exhale, placing the hands flat on the mat. Take a step back. Let's inhale as we exhale our ways down. Inhale up, coming into that upward dog. Let's curl those toes as we exhale, sending our hips into the sky, coming into that downward dog. And from here, let's hold it together as we walk out the feet. Let's inhale, slowing it down to stillness, sending that right leg, up into the sky. Let's exhale as we bring it forward, dropping that knee, coming into our crescent pose. And from here, let's take a deep breath as we let our arms come out to a T, exhaling, coming into a twisted crescent pose or a twisted low lunge. Let's just look forward here. We're just going to open up the inside of the thighs as well. A lot of different ways to do these things, you know? Let's inhale the hands up. And as we exhale, let's turn the other direction. Just stretching out equally, showing a little bit of love to our digestive system as well. Excellent. Inhale the hands up to the sky. Let's exhale them back down to the mat as we curl our back toe, bringing our right foot to meet our left. Let's exhale, coming down. Inhale, come on up into our upward dog. From here, let's curl those toes as we exhale, sending our hips back into our downward dog. Let's walk out those feet once more. And this time, let's do it the same way. Let's inhale that left leg up into the sky as we exhale, bringing it forward between the hands. Let's drop the knee. Come on up into our crescent pose. Taking a deep inhale, let's exhale, twisting into our twisted low lunge. Giving some love to our digestive system, opening up our hamstrings in other ways. So let's inhale, bring those hands up. Exhale, look to the other side. Remember to actively push that knee out in the front so that you're keeping your hips nice and squared. Excellent. Inhale, bringing the hands up to the sky. Let's exhale, placing them on the mat. Curl that back toe to straighten. Let's bring that left foot back to meet the right. Exhale, coming down on the mat. Inhale, coming on up to an upward dog. Let's curl those toes as we exhale, sending our hips up into the sky. And from here, let's inhale. Exhale as we hop or walk our feet to the top of the mat. Come on up halfway. Exhale, send those arms right back down. Inhale, coming up, bringing ourselves down into prayer pose. Excellent. Let's do one more flow and we can start. And one more sun sound. We can start our flow. Coming back to the front of the mat. Relaxing, finding our proper happy alignment. Let's inhale. Exhale, coming into that chair. Let's swan dive coming forward. Inhale, halfway forward fold. Exhale, hands onto the mat. Let's take a step back. Coming down all the way. Let's inhale, coming up into the upward dog. Exhale, let's curl those toes. We send our hips into the sky, walking our feet out. Let's inhale that right foot up into the sky, exhaling it, placing it between the hands. Let's drop that back foot now in an angle. And we're going to come up, exhaling into our warrior two. Keeping those hips squared forward, facing here, wherever your face is at, keeping that knee open, facing the same direction of the toes are. Beginning to open up those hamstrings. Excellent. Let's inhale as we cartwheel our hands back down to the mat, turning that back foot, taking a step to meet the right, exhaling, coming down. Inhale, upward dog. Curl those back toes as we exhale, downward dog. This time, let's take our left foot up into the sky, keeping the hips square. Exhale, placing it down on the front of the mat. Let's drop that right foot on an angle as we come up into our warrior two. Excellent. Keep your hips squared. I can't quite see you right now, but keep your hips nice and squared into the front, keeping that knee pushing out, actively engaging those legs. Let's inhale, taking a cartwheel, bringing the hands to the mat. Take a step back, exhale, coming on down. Inhale, coming to that upward dog. Thinking about our choice there for a moment. Let's twirl those toes as we exhale, sending your hips up into the sky. Let's hold here for a moment. Keeping our core nice and tight, and keeping our shoulders away from our ears, feeling the energy in our legs that's supporting us. Bend the knees, straighten the legs. We're just going to do that for a moment here. Bend the knees, straighten the legs. You don't want to come all the way down. Let's do two more. Bend the knees, straighten the legs. Bend the knees. Last one, straighten the legs. And feel your feet coming down. Really feel it. Really feel your feet sink into the mat. Feel your feet sinking deeper into that mat. Excellent. From here, let's send our right foot up into the sky once more. Let's exhale, bringing it back to the front. Let's once more drop that left knee. We're going to scooch our leg out here just a little bit. And as we inhale, we're going to drop our hips, coming into a low, low, low lunge, lower than before, dragon pose. We're just going to hold here and breathe out. This is going to help open up those our hips as well as our hamstrings in the front on each side when we do it. So we're just going to stretch it out. Breathing here. And if you have a block, actually, you have 2 more breaths. If you have a block, you can go ahead and use that underneath you to support you as well. Excellent. Let's take one last breath in this pose. Deeply inhale. Exhale through the nose. Let's curl that back toe. We're going to use our hands to just bring our legs up, dropping that foot. Let's come up into our warrior 2 pose here. And we're going to come into a revolved, or a different kind of a warrior 2 pose. From here, we're going to bring our arms around if it's within our practice. And actually, let's keep our arms forward as a counter pose. Bend yourself over just from the hips, sending your bottom out. We're just going to hold ourselves in this warrior 2 for a few breaths. If balance is not in your practice this evening, go ahead and use a block or a chair to support yourself. We're just going to open up our hips here from the side, coming into our quads as well. We're going to hold this here for 2 more breaths. And after our last inhale, let's inhale, straightening our pose, our legs, allowing them to shake out. And let's bring our feet in just a little bit closer as needed. We're going to take that front knee once more, bending it as we bend our front arm, coming into a side angle pose. Breathe into this pose. Here we can feel the quad stretching out. Feels good. Let's hold here for 1 more breath. Taking an exhale, let's exhale, dropping that hand to the mat. Coming into we're going to, from here, taking an inhale, and if you need your block, go ahead and use that as well. We're going to come into our half moon pose. But let's inhale. I'm going to use my block. Inhale, lifting that back left leg, holding ourselves in that half moon pose. Keeping that front foot as straight as humanly possible, opening up your hips, honoring the moon in our half moon pose. And make sure you don't lock out your front knee. You just want to keep yourself nice and open. And if you find this is within your practice today, go ahead and inhale, curl that foot, grab your ankle, come into your sugar plum. This is definitely stretching out the quadricep of the other leg as well. We have 2 more breaths. Last exhale, release your foot from that sugar cane if you're in your sugar cane. And we're just going to turn ourselves forward, allowing that front foot to drop. Let's come into that wide-legged pose here and just breathe, countering out that pose. Holding here. Let's hold here for a few breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Let's hold here for a last breath. Excellent. And after our last exhale, let's just inhale. And as we exhale, let's bring that right foot down as we lift up our left foot, coming into Skandasana or side lunge. Holding here, breathing into that leg, stretching out the back of the quad there, or the hamstrings, stretching out the quad and the right leg is what I'm trying to say. It's hard sometimes to lead a class. I love it though. I wouldn't do anything else. Excellent. Let's inhale, bringing ourselves back into that halfway forward fold. Let's take our peace fingers, wrapping them around our big toes. Let's exhale, coming into Malasana. Ooh, opening up our legs, coming to that stretch. You're going to push your elbows out against your knees, helping your hips to open, also helping your hamstrings to sink a little bit deeper into the floor as we come into that stretch. And if you'd like, you can go ahead and make this an active one by bringing your feet up, your bottom up, and your hips into the sky, exhaling, coming down. We're going to hold here for 3 more breaths. So get it all in your breaths. Last one. Let's keep ourselves here, holding ourselves in this forward fold. Let's exhale as we bend the left leg, bringing that right foot up. This time we're going to stretch out the leg that we just actively had engaged here. I'm going to slide my block over because we're going to be doing everything else on the other side. So we're stretching out with the leg that we had engaged, stretching out the quad, stretching out the hamstring. We're also stretching out the hamstring on this side. Excellent. Let's inhale, straightening that leg up. We're going to turn ourselves, coming back into, let's see, let's come into our downward dog once more. Sometimes I like to run it through as a moon salutation, kind of going backwards, but this way it's kind of nice to work it up to it. So let's get back into our downward dog before we work on our left side here. Let's hold ourselves in this downward dog. Let's see if we can drop our heels just a little bit more to the floor. Feel the difference between the right leg and the left. Remember, we just used that right leg as an active engagement, so it should feel a little bit more loose, if you will, a little bit more comfortable. At least I hope it does. Excellent. Let's inhale, sending that left foot up into the sky once more. Let's exhale, bringing it down to the mat. And remember, sneak that leg out, dropping your back knee first. Sneak that leg out just a little bit. We're going to come down into our very low, almost the lizard lunge. Lizard lunge if you got it, dragon lunge if it's not in your practice tonight. But see how low you can get down into your lunge, keeping that back leg parallel to the side of the mat. Now let's take an inhale as we exhale deep and holding in this stretch into for 5 breaths. Keeping those hips squared forward so you can really feel the movement in that right hamstring. Excellent. Let's take our last inhale. And as we exhale, curl those back toes. Let's come back up here, coming into our warrior 2, coming into our variation of warrior 2. So we have our feet stretched out here, wide apart. Let's face forward, squaring the hips open, bringing the arms up. Let's bend ourselves from the hips, sending our bottoms back, keeping our core nice and engaged, keeping our tilt, coming into that variation of warrior 2. And using a block or a chair as needed for balance. Just allow your heels to stay parallel together. Let's hold here for 5 breaths. Two more breaths. I know this one's a challenge. Excellent. Let's bring ourselves up here, turning ourselves, straighten out the leg for just a moment. We're going to inhale, bending that left arm this time as we place it on that right thigh, exhaling, coming into our side angle pose. Very active, very engaging. As soon as you release, you'll feel it. 2 more breaths in this pose. Excellent. We're going to come into our half moon pose. So go ahead and move your block if you need to. Readjust your legs, keeping our arm up into the sky here. We're just going to lift ourselves up from the back, lightly. extending all of our weight forward. Sometimes it works better on one side than the other. Whoop. If it is not within your practice, please keep yourself in a pyramid pose. Straighten out that leg and just stay in a pyramid pose. Same stretch. Similar stretch, I should say. Flexing that foot, coming into our half moon pose here, holding here for 5 breaths. And remember, if it is within your practice this evening, you are welcome to find yourself in a sugar cane. 4 more breaths. And remember, it's okay if you drop out of a pose. That's the point of yoga. Finding yourself back in it again. 2 more breaths. All right, after our last exhale, go ahead and release the leg down. Let's turn ourselves coming back into that wide forward fold here. Whew. Let's release out those hips. And I'm just going to come around to the right side here. Let's turn either side, whichever way. We're going to find ourselves here in a plank for just a moment. And we're going to just move ourselves in that plank, inhaling forward, exhaling back. Excellent. Let's slow ourselves down, holding onto our plank, dropping your knees if it's within your practice today. But let's hold our plank for 5 breaths, keeping ourselves balanced, holding in our core. 3 more breaths. 2 and 1. Let's release, coming down all the way flat, bringing our arms slightly forward. Let's inhale, coming into our cobra pose. And this marks the beginning of our cool down. So let's breathe here in our cobra pose, keeping our shoulders away from our ears, our core engaged, our feet engaged, not just lying behind us. Let's hold here for 5 breaths. And after this last exhale, let's release ourselves, coming down on the mat, putting our arms, laying them beside us. Let's get ready here to come into our bow pose. So let's inhale, lifting the feet, lifting the arms. And if it's within your practice today, go ahead and grab onto your ankles. And with an inhale, exhale yourself, coming up into our bow pose. Let's hold here for 5 breaths. Lifting our chest off the mat. And with our last exhale, let's release our arms coming down to the mat. Let's bring our hand underneath our shoulders, keeping our knees wide. As we inhale, let's exhale, releasing ourselves, coming into a wide leg child's pose. Let's breathe into this pose. 5 breaths. Excellent. After our last exhale, let's inhale ourselves, coming up to our knees. And I'm going to face you here for just a moment. Let's put our hands around our waist, on our hips. As we inhale, opening in the chest, exhale, curling the chest. We're just going to warm up our back just a little bit. We're going to come into our camel pose here to finish up the evening. I just like to make sure we are nice and flexible, mobile in the spine before we come into our camel pose. And keep holding that, keep breathing that way. I'm just going to show you the variations that we have for this evening. For a camel pose, you can go ahead and just send your arms back, arching your head, dropping it if it's within your practice. But if you're feeling it this evening and you got it with you, you can go ahead and drop down to the ankles. So we're still here. Everyone, let's slow ourselves down, coming into stillness. Let's inhale, sending our arms behind the back. Exhale, coming into your variation of Camel's Pose this evening. Let's hold here as we drop our heads, holding here for 5 breaths. And if you are fully extended in your Camel's Pose, let's find our way back up into kneeling. And everyone, let's take our last inhale as we exhale, coming up. Taking one more inhale. Let's exhale, sending our hips once more down to the mat, coming into our child's pose, yogi's choice. But let's extend the arms out in front of us here as we're going to come into our extended child's pose. Holding here for 5 breaths. Breathing into our belly, breathing into our hips. Let's begin to raise up just a bit on the fingertips as we walk ourselves over to the left here. Let's stretching out our side body to the left. Let's take an inhale. And as we exhale, work our way over to the right, stretching out our side body to the right. Excellent. Let's inhale, bringing ourselves right back to the center here. Let's bring ourselves back up, coming into that kneeling pose, regrounding ourselves, recentering in hero's pose. Giving ourselves a moment to come back into awareness. Let's find ourselves lying down on the mat now. Getting into our last fun parts of our twist here. Coming down, seeing our feet flat on the mat. Let's extend our arms beside us. And as we inhale, we're going to see ourselves coming into a bridge pose. So let's inhale, curling our pelvis, starting at the waist, coming into our bridge pose here. And let's hold here, breathing, sending the energy through your knees, keeping your knees together, energetically sending your knees and toes in the same direction. Holding here, we have 2 more breaths. Breathing into this pose. And with our last exhale, let's curl ourselves down, starting from the top of our spine, 1 vertebra at a time, coming into flat on the back. Let's take a deep inhale. And as we exhale, let's drop our knees to the left, coming into lying stag legs. Allowing our legs to open up, straightening out our hips for one last time. Wonderful. Let's inhale those knees up once more, bringing our feet flat. And as we exhale, dropping our knees to the right this time. Stag legs over to the right, stretching out those legs. Excellent. Inhale our knees up once more, flat feet on the ground. Let's bring that right ankle to that left knee. Let's inhale, bringing our left knee up to our chest, keeping that leg parallel to the ground, our calf parallel to the ground. And as we exhale, let's pull our hips into us, stretching out our piriformis on our right, coming into that reclined pigeon. And keep breathing into that pose, opening up your hips, stretching out our quads for one last time. Let's extend our right leg back, or our left leg back to the mat here. As we open up the legs, let's switch ankles, putting the left ankle on the right knee. Let's inhale, sending that leg up. Exhale, stretching that leg, bringing our knee a little bit closer to that chest, really feeling that piriformis stretch. Excellent. Let's exhale, release the legs. Now let's extend the left leg coming flat to the mat completely. Let's bring that knee, that right knee back into the chest once more as we pull it towards us, circling our ankle to the right or left, actually both directions. And let's circle our leg a little bit as we stretch that knee coming into the right shoulder. Let's keep that left leg actively engaged here as we stretch out the rest of our quads. Excellent. Let's inhale, bringing that right leg over, keeping our right hip still on the mat. Let's cross our leg over here, extending, just stretching out the side of the thigh. You don't want to keep your knee all the way to the floor. Keep your back on the mat. Keep your right hip on the mat here. We're just going to focus on stretching out the side of our thigh, stretching out the side of our quadricep and our glutes as well. Excellent. Inhale, bringing that knee to the center. Exhale, opening it up to the side here, stretching out our groin muscle. It's nice to keep the whole head of the thigh, if you will, nice and supple so that you don't get tension anywhere else. Great, let's bring that knee back up. Exhale as we extend it, feeling the difference between the right and the left legs. Let's inhale that left knee this time up to the chest as we squeeze it in, keeping the right leg active and our left leg active as well as we stretch, rotating the ankle. And let's warm up that hip a little bit as we inhale. Let's exhale, bringing that knee to the shoulder here, stretching out our groin as well, our groin and quad. Let's inhale, bringing that knee back to center. Exhale as we turn it over. And remember, keep that hip onto the mat. It might not seem like you're doing much stretching, but you really are. You're getting the parts that really count here as we begin to stretch out the rest of that leg. Excellent. Inhale the knee coming back to center. Let's exhale, sending that knee over to the left side, opening up, stretching out, bringing in relief of tension into that quad there, or into that groin. Inhale, bringing our legs to the center. Exhale, sending them down on the mat. They should both feel just about equally stretched out. Let's inhale those knees once more into our chest. Taking our peace fingers, let's grab those big toes. And as we exhale, send our knees into our armpits, coming into happy baby. And let's use this last asana, well, second to last asana, to get any kinks out of our quadriceps and our hamstrings and our hips that we may have missed. Go ahead and straighten out your legs, rotate your knees, play around as needed, keeping that back, your lower back flat on the mat so that we don't accidentally wrench things out of place. Excellent. Let's take an inhale, bringing our knees in, grabbing them, hugging our knees, maybe bringing our head up. And as we exhale, releasing our limbs, letting them go where they please, snapping the hips. Exhaling, bringing our arms back to our side. Let's let our feet drop open and our hands splay as we come into our Shavasana. Now, if your Shavasana, if the end of the class you would not like to spend in corpse pose, which is laying on your back but sitting in a meditative pose, please take that as you will. But if you are in Shavasana or choosing to take it this way, let's find those feet dropping open. Let's find our fingers relaxing, taking a deep inhale. Let's exhale, fluttering those eyes shut, coming into our quiet reflective period. Taking a deep breath.
And before we come up from our Shavasana this evening, I'd like to read for you from the Daily Stoic. Today's reading is on Don't Unintentionally Hand Over Your Freedom. It reads, if a person gave away your body to some passerby, you'd be furious. Yet you hand over your mind to anyone who comes along, so they may abuse you, leaving it disturbed and troubled. Have you no shame in that? Epictetus. Instinctively, we protect our physical selves. We don't let people touch us, push us around, or control where we go. When it comes to the mind, we are less disciplined. We hand it over willingly to social media, to television, to what other people are doing, thinking, or saying.
We sit down to work, and the next thing you know, we're browsing the internet. We sit down with our families, but within minutes, we have our phones out. We sit down peacefully in a park, but instead of looking inward, we're judging people as they pass by. We don't even know that we're doing this. We don't realize how much waste is in it, how efficient and distracted it makes us. And what's worse, no one is making this happen. It's totally self-inflicted. To the Stoics, this is an abomination. They know that the world can control our bodies. We can be thrown in jail or be tossed about by the weather. But the mind, that's ours. We must protect it. Maintain control of your mind and perceptions, they'd say. It's your most prized possession. Food for thought. And with that, I'd like you to invite movement back into your body by wiggling your toes and wiggling your fingers. Start to wiggle your limbs around, rolling your shoulders, getting your body nice and loose, finding the physical awareness in yourself. And keeping your eyes closed. Let's take an inhale as we roll over to one side, exhaling, cradling ourselves there in that pose for just a moment. And with eyes still closed, if it's in your power, go ahead and push yourself up, finding yourself in this seated position. Let's inhale those hands up overhead, exhaling. Let's bring them down into the sign of the peace pose right down in front of us here. And flutter your eyes open if you haven't already. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for joining this evening in the Asana Sana Yoga studio for Hatha Yoga. I certainly hope you enjoyed this quad focus flow and you feel your legs are open and ready to take on the rest of your day and your evening as we move into the nighttime. And as always, I hope to see you next week in our class, 5 p.m. on Monday evenings. And I'll send you off with a be the light that you wish to see in the world. See the light that you wish to see in the world. It is there. Om Shanti Shanti. Have a great evening, everyone.